DPW crews continue to clean up snow following yesterday's storm. Residents will soon be able to use their computer for some town permits. And we chat with Police Chief Paul McDonald to get the latest from the Barnstable Police Department. It's Tuesday, February 9th, 2016. I'm Sarah Mannel. DPW crews will continue snow cleanup following yesterday's storm. DPW Director Dan Santos says crews began storm prep yesterday at 3 in the morning.
And we start with a application of the salt and brine mix on the roads.
Right.
And that helps to keep the snow from sticking for as long as possible. So that's the first thing. And then we staged our main road contractors, the ones that are going to plow, and our secondary contractors. So they were in place for 8 o'clock. We opened the Emergency Response Center, which is our kind of central location where we manage these storms. It's over at Highway Division. We opened that at 4 a.m. yesterday. So we were ready and waiting for it to come. And as soon as it started snowing and accumulated, we had the blades down on the plows and we're plowing. And that just kept on going and going. And we actually didn't finish till about 3 o'clock this morning. So
right.
Our guys were out there for 24 hours, basically.
Santos says today crews were focused on cleaning sidewalks and widening roadways. Barnstable residents will soon be able to access some town permits right from their computers. Assistant Town Manager Mark Ells says e-permitting will go live to residents February 29th.
We have already gone live internally, meaning that our entire building department is using this e-permitting system, Viewpoint, as our database. And part of why we waited until till late February is that we're going through all of the review of all the data that's in there, making sure that all of the staff and the inspectors are very comfortable with using the tablets and using the database for all the permits. So right now, if you come in with a permit and do it the old-fashioned way, when we get it, we put it into this system. So from our side, it's functioning as a live system. We were going to try to implement a little bit sooner, but then felt that, and especially talking with Viewpoint and talking with a lot of other communities who have hit some real hurdles as they've implemented e-permitting, we wanted to make sure everything was working and everybody was trained, and that's how we established the date. So we're excited about that. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of questions from people who are pulling plumbing, electrical, and gas permits, and that's the first focus. And then in March, we're going to roll out commercial permits in general, and then in April, we'll be doing residential sorts of permits. So we thought it would be good to do it that way. A lot of our commercial customers are already familiar with this from other communities, and so we're hoping there won't be a lot of questions from the outside. On the inside, we could basically turn them all on right now. But we thought it would be better to do it incrementally. It was recommended that way by Viewpoint, and then in speaking with other communities especially, we thought that was a better implementation.
Ells says e-permitting will help town staff be more efficient and increase communication among departments. The recent snow storm and some new recruits are keeping the Barnstable Police Department very busy. To find out more, Barnstable This Morning host Sarah Colvin talked with Police Chief Paul McDonald.
So winter, as Chief, has finally arrived.
Yes.
A little snowy out there. We had a storm Friday afternoon and a storm yesterday. So tell me a little bit about how we fared, at least from I know that you're our emergency management head here in town.
Right. The last 4 days, that's all we've been dealing with is the weather starting early Friday morning, going to late last night. And kudos to the Department of Public Works. They did an awesome job. All their plows were out early both Friday and yesterday, pre-treating the streets. And then they hit the streets early, keeping the main roads clear when all the secondary roads were clear by late yesterday afternoon. They did a great job. We had several meetings, conference calls with MEMA and the Barnstable County Regional Emergency Planning Committee, discussions whether or not we should or should not open the shelters. But talking to Eversource, and they had a number of crews standing by down Falmouth. Here at the Cape Cod Mall, they had a large contingent of crews staged at the Cape Cod Mall. Then down in the Lower Cape, there were minimal power outages. I think all day yesterday we only had 4 power outages, single homes, not any major areas. So the decision was made not to open the shelters, and all in all, it went very, very well. And most of the work kudos go to the Department of Public Works. They did an outstanding job.
Absolutely, and it seems like people really did do a good job staying at home. I think the good thing was the storm started so early that a lot of people, especially us here at Town Hall and neighboring town halls, didn't have to go in. So kind of good to kind of keep everyone staying put.
And that was key. I know schools were canceled late Sunday afternoon, so that kept a lot of traffic off the streets. And Lynn Poirier was great. Getting all the updates out there on the website, sending out the emails about the status and what DPW was doing. So the coordination of effort was outstanding. So it went the best it could be expected. I don't think we got that much snow yesterday. They thought they were going to get, but we still got a significant snowfall. But you still have to be careful out there. Just on Friday night when I was driving home, large branch fellas, I was driving down Great Marsh Road and hit the top of the cruiser. Did some significant damage to my cruiser. But so you still have to be careful out there.
Absolutely, certainly safety very important. Chief, I understand some new employees will be joining the police department. 10 new officers have been hired.
Last week, we are in the process of concluding our hiring process. As you know, we've had a number of retirements over the past 14 months. There was a civil service test given last April. We got the results in October. We immediately called for a list in the hopes to hire 10 new officers and have them in the academy come up this April. So we did send out 10 conditional offers of employment last week. 10 new recruits, young kids. They're all local kids. We do give a preference to Barnstable residents. When we call for civil service list, we only want people who live in the town of Barnstable. That always works out very, very well for us. Their next step is they have to do a medical examination. After that, they do a psychological examination. Then they have to pass a pre-screening physical aptitude test. And then hopefully we'll get them into the academy by April, at least some of them in the academy by April. And we can't get them all in the academy by April. Next academy is scheduled for September. So, yeah, that'll be a big addition. We're down about 15 officers right now, so we have to get back to full strength.
Absolutely. And Chief, it seems like a real lengthy process to hire these new employees. As you say, the test was given last April, and the results didn't come back until October. Is that just because there's a lot of data to go through on the civil service exams?
Well, they give a test. The test is given every 2 years, usually at a preferred entrance examination. Once you're given the test, and it gets to be scored. Then once the test is scored, then people have an opportunity to contest any possible question, and that's what takes the time. Once they start appealing these questions, it goes back and forth, and that's what slows the whole process down. Once the list gets certified, it usually takes 5 or 6 months for the list to get certified. Then we call for the list, and there's a certain formula that we have to use for depending on number of recruits. So we call for, I believe, 3 separate lists because we have to get a total of a minimum 24 names on the list, and then we have to do an extensive background on every single individual. Then they go through the oral board process. Then we meet with the candidates again to decide their suitability, and then we send out the conditional offers of employment. We can't have anybody do a medical or a psychological test unless we give them those conditional offers of employment.
Absolutely. And really, again, just to ensure that these officers are ready for the job, that you want to hire them as well as they want to be hired. I think it's so important. You invest a lot of time in these guys and girls, and you want to make sure that they're ready and prepared for the job that lies ahead.
Well, then the process is just started. Once the academy runs for 26 weeks, 40 hours a week. After that, there's a 2-week in-house academy here at the PD, and then after that, there's a 3-month field training program where they do a month on each shift with an experienced trained officer, and then evaluation is done whether or not they should or should not be cut loose. So it's a long process. Even though they have a conditional offer of employment, they won't see the streets.
And you can hear from Police Chief Paul McDonald every Tuesday morning during our hour-long news program, Barnstable This Morning. That program airs weekdays at 8 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we will chat with Energy Coordinator Richard Elrick. We'll talk with Assistant Director of Senior Services Donna Burns. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mantle.